So, fast forwarding, left Queens, and my grandmother moved to Florida. The family, little by little, started moving to Florida. So when we came, it was different. Florida's completely different. Everything was new. It was back in like 86, 87, and so there wasn't that same environment where they were having Bible study. My parents didn't have friends here, nothing like that in Florida. So, little by little, I grew up in a Christian home. We went to, a Christian church, all that stuff. Um, and I mentioned that my father, they were very new when they started doing the Bible studies, but um, there were so many stories of people getting healed, delivered in our home back in New York. But then when my father came to Florida, there wasn't that same situation. Um, he was digging into the Bible. He was learning and learning and learning and filling his mind. He was becoming, very aware and understanding the Bible. Um, but what I experienced, there was a time period where I started to experience religion. And when I say that, um, I guess somewhere along the line, he just became very more like he was worried about I collected Batman cards. And he'd be like, and I was like, had these complete sets and everything. It's, oh, that's evil. And they started, naming things that are evil. And maybe he was right, but I guess the approach was, yeah, get rid of it's evil, it's evil, it's evil. And like, at some point as a kid, you start, rebelling. You're like, all right, whatever. You're crazy. So there was a period of time where my dad would always sit me down and get me to read, but my mind was somewhere else. I'd read because, and he'd be like, oh, you know who this person is, what that statement's referring to, and sometimes I'd guess and get it right, but for the most part, my mind was somewhere else. I kind of figured out how to read and just be somewhere else, because it was the only time that me and my dad spent together during that time. We didn't really have. My father was older, um, so I loved basketball. He didn't understand. He had no value on sports at all. He thought everything was a waste of time. And so, as I got into my teen years and stuff like that, just our relationship wasn't that great. Just avoiding my dad pretty much. And so, because he would call what I was doing, a waste of time. Because he was a tailor, but he had known he wanted to be a tailor since he was very very young, and he made that dream his reality. He went after his dreams and it became a reality. Um, and so he expected me to know what I wanted to do at a very young age. I think around 9 years old, he kept asking me, "What do you want to do? What do you want to be?" And he'd get mad at me for not knowing, and he put pressure on me to that kind of pressure. So, anyways, period of time, I rebel, and then I was aware. I remember I could go to church or the youth groups or whatever, and I would talk to God, internally. I never felt like I got an answer or response, but it was like a one-way conversation. I didn't really feel much, and then when I got baptized, I remember even when I got baptized, I decided to get baptized at a church I was going to youth group at versus the church my parents were going at. And my dad, um, was upset that I wasn't doing it at his church. So he was very like religious in that period of time. It was religious and it became very in a controlling spirit with that excuse of religion, um, and it caused separation between us because he was using it to convict people around him. um, and so I got to experience that side, and so it wasn't very appealing. So I wasn't really interested in hearing much about it. But there was a time where it was youth group decided, hey, I can get baptized, and so we got baptized, and I got baptized, and I felt the Holy Spirit. I felt an emotional response to being baptized, and I remember, pretty much trying to hold back crying in front of the church, but you know, and so but from then on, I knew God was in my life. I knew He was there. I knew He cared about me. And that, so, I would talk every once in a while, or pray every once in a while. Um, but it was kind of like when I needed something, or when I was really upset or something like that. It wasn't like anything deep. Okay, put it that way. So fast forward, um, early 20s, about 24 years old. Um, Now, between that time and that time, me and my brother uh, had a divorce, so he moved in uh, with us for a little while, and then me and him decided to go get a house together. So we moved out and we got a house together. And um, I remember, one night, and we, partied and stuff. We spent a lot of time. Me and my brother spent a lot of time together. We had a good time. We had good times. Together, and we would definitely, having a good time. Anyways, so basically, I remember one night, one day I had strep throat really bad. I couldn't swallow um, nothing. I mean, I was in bed, but I had to go get something from my parents' house. So I went to my parents' house, and they, I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't even swallow. I mean, I was so, because I don't have my tonsils removed, so if I get any kind of infection in that area, it's like my tonsils are like blow up, and it's like I could barely like breathe right, and like it's really painful for me and I still have my tonsils. Um, so I was there, and I didn't, I don't, I just said I don't feel good. In my throat. I don't know if I told them I had strep throat or whatever. I don't think I told them because for whatever reason. I just was like, I don't feel good. I'm gonna just get this and I'm gonna go. I think. Oh well, I must have told them I had something because they were made soup or something. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. But I don't really remember that part. Put it that way. So, but then right before I go, my dad's like, oh, we went to this church or in a hotel and we saw this pastor and let me show you this DVD. Let me show you this DVD. I'm like, Dad, I'm not interested. Let me just go. I don't feel good. Oh no, just for a second. Just for a second. I'm like, ah. So so we go into the room and pop in the DVD, and excuse me, and it was a bad recording, quality recording, and music was not that great, and the singing was horrible. It was just a bad. Well, they were worshiping on the DVD, by the way. They were worshiping on the DVD. He wasn't speaking. They were worshiping, and and I was like, this is bad. I mean, this is quality wise I'm a musician as well. Okay, um, uh, you know, rock music, whatever. So I play a little bit of everything. Anyway, so as a musician listening to this music and everything together, it was just not pleasant to me at the moment. But all of a sudden, my dad lifts his hands, and then my mom starts worshiping. They start feeling something, and then I'm just sitting there. I'm like, all right, just waiting. And then all of a sudden, I feel this bead. That's the way I can explain it. Imagine this is my throat. I mean, from that, I'm just going to switch the angle, right? So imagine this is my entire throat, right? So I felt in the middle like this little bead that was turning and turning, and as it was turning, it was kind of going more outward, more outward, more outward. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going, freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, and then it stops, and all of a sudden I can swallow. I swallow again. And I'm like, I got healed right there, just like that. It was gone, and I freaked out internally. I didn't say to my parents, "Hey, I just got healed." Nothing. I didn't say anything because I was just like, my heart was, probably beating fast and all that stuff. I was just like, now, I told you when I was younger, I was aware and I saw people get healed and stuff, but nothing ever happened for me. So that was like my first healing experience for me. Yeah, when you see somebody get healed, you doubt. I mean, it could be somebody you know. You'd be like, okay, maybe you just thought you were healed. When people get healed of like sickness or like a cold or a fever or something, there's so much room for doubt there, right? If somebody says they got healed, and they're walking, they're on crutches, you're like, there's still room for doubt there. There's a lot of things happening internally. They feel it. You don't feel it. You don't see it. When, if you see somebody like hand grow out of their sock, they have no hand and it, okay, you're not going to, there's not much room for doubt there. Okay. But, but a lot of the healings that I saw with people getting cast out or healed of sicknesses. And so, or testimonies of like, oh, this, we prayed and then this happened. We prayed and, God did this. And so in all those scenarios, if you're not the person experiencing it, there's room for doubt. And so I was that person. I doubt a lot. So when it happened to me, the next words out of my dad's mouth were, "Oh, we need to go. They're close to here. We need to go to their church." And so I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's fine." So it's like, "Let's go this weekend." I was like, "Okay." And I just could say okay because I was what I just experienced. I was like, "Okay." And so we go. Um, we go to the service. We walk in, and there's just like a handful of people. Oh my! Just a reference. The church we were going to is Benny Hinn's church, and big church, thousands of people every Sunday, 3 services, thousands of people waiting outside. It was packed, big church. And then we go out here, and in that church, the word was preached. People speaking tongues. There would come a word. People got healed. Stuff delivered. And stuff. So I would see that there, and but we went to this, and there's just a few people, and this pastor with long hair, and I immediately was like, looks like a cult. I was like, what is this? So very skeptical going in, and um, he was playing. I believe he was using tracks for music and stuff like that. I don't think he didn't have musicians yet. He may have had a keyboardist. Anyways, so long story short, I don't remember what he preached exactly that day. All I remember is I got slammed under the power of the Holy Spirit that day. I just, I cried and cried. I was washed. I just felt this beautiful presence of the Holy Spirit, and I recommitted my life that day, and from that day it began this new journey, this new chapter in my life where I was aware of the Holy Spirit as a person in my life, as a person with feelings, as a person that was here, within me, loved me, cared about me. And it just set off this spark of spiritual experiences. Hey guys, we're moving on to video 3 of 3. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I hope you enjoyed this next clip.